And good Thursday afternoon. Thanks for being with us today. I'm Tim Seaman. Demolition work at 625 Douglas Street in Sioux City is underway once again, but now workers say they hope to save an adjoining structure. Those details in our top story today at 5 o'clock. Demolition of the former KCAU-9 building at 625 Douglas was paused 2 weeks following a public push to save the building, the front facade. A demo at 615 Douglas Street hasn't started and remains on hold until engineers can determine if that building is structurally sound enough to save. Sioux City Mayor Pro Tem Dan Moore telling us yesterday a developer has expressed interest in renovating that 615 structure. Unfortunately, the same wasn't possible at 625, the site of Sioux City's first auditorium.
Have taken a lot, but maybe it could have been, but it had been vacant for about 5 years, I think, since it was occupied. I'm sure it was well maintained at that point in time, but it just kept going downhill, and it's unfortunate to lose a building because of that.
Moore tells us the city hopes to learn about the stability of 615 Douglas as soon as engineers can safely inspect that building. A new bill introduced in the Iowa legislature today in the House aims to ban abortion medications across the state. House Bill 423 was introduced by Republican Representative Jeff Shipley, who represents District 87 in southeastern Iowa. The legislation would make it illegal for any person to manufacture, distribute, prescribe, dispense, sell, or transfer abortion drugs like mifepristone. Anyone who would violate that law could face a Class C felony if found guilty, resulting in a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison as well as a fine. The bill has now been referred, I should say, to the Health and Human Services Committee. A bill that's moving forward in Pierre would make it illegal for librarians to let kids check out books and other materials that are considered harmful to minors in South Dakota. And people on both sides of that issue made their voices heard today at the state legislature.
There's 12 other states that don't have this exemption, and we're not seeing any problems there because when you have just regular accountability across the board, whether it's a private business or a library or a private citizen, all of us should have the requirement that we don't give material that's harmful to minors.
Now to hold them criminally accountable for potentially mistakes or for taking their eyes off of a child for a few minutes, a child that isn't even their responsibility sometimes, that's going too far.
That legislation made it through the South Dakota House today on a vote of 38 to 32. Well, due to recent cold snap in the weather, the Missouri River here in Sioux City not only has completely frozen, but the river levels have started to rise up to 12 feet now here in Sioux City. The river was consistently sitting about 5 to 7 feet on Tuesday, but due to ice jams and subsequent freezing, it began to rise, now up 6 or 7 feet. As of this afternoon, the Missouri sits at 12.9 feet. The river is forecast to remain in that 12-foot range until sometime next week, and hopefully by that time next week we'll see some of that ice melt there, as well as ice jams that are probably going to happen at some spots along waterways as well.
Definitely the case, especially we'll start to see conditions that are warmer, so it'll start to flow a little bit better as we see that currently in the region. Temperatures have been warmer than what we've seen the last couple of days, rising above 10 degrees, though we did sadly tie our low temperature record set back in 2020, which was a tie for 1916 as well. But you'll notice what a change a year can be, because last year on this day we were talking about record high temperatures close to 70 degrees, and instead we're going to be seeing that there's a cold weather advisory issued for the region for tonight into the morning hours of Friday. So one more cold evening that's below zero before we finally warm up, and I'll let you know how warm the weekend will be coming up. Tim?
All right, Victor, thanks. Well, under President Donald Trump's latest orders, the Federal Aviation Administration is cutting nearly 300 workers. The layoffs come at a time when some airports are struggling to hire a strong workforce. At the Des Moines International Airport, which is Iowa's largest airport, roughly 160 flights take off and land each day. Those are monitored by 16 air traffic controllers. That is 12 fewer than the FAA's employment goal. And that small number of air traffic controllers making some passengers a little nervous before they take flight.
There's the concern about air traffic safety and also the assumption that the United States has the best air traffic control and safety in the world. And that is something that can be very hard to overcome mentally, especially when you're seeing what has been happening in the news. And for me, as someone who travels for a living, it is definitely especially frightening.
The FAA is still investigating several recent plane crashes. The agency has not cited a lack of staff or air traffic controllers as a cause for any of those events at this time. Well, rent assistance is once again available through the Iowa Rent Reimbursement Program. Locally, the Community Action Agency of Siouxland processes those requests, offering rent reimbursement for low-income elderly as well as disabled individuals who rent property here in Iowa. Workers at the agency said that they will work with residents on eligibility for the program as well as assisting with the application.
I am happy to be part of this program because I know that not everyone feels comfortable filling out applications on computers, and that's something that we're going to be able to offer people to do it, so they'll be successful. If they qualify for this money, we're going to help them get it, and so that makes us feel very good.
If you or someone you know might be interested in applying, the Community Action Agency is taking appointments. A person must provide one form of identification, proof of social benefits, and all household income as well. Missouri River Historical Development is once again providing hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships to 4 local colleges. MIRD awarded a total of $300,000 to those institutions today, including Briarcliff University, Morningside University, St. Luke's College, and Western Iowa Tech Community College. Now, each of those institutions receives $75,000 to administer for the next school year. The MIRD grant program provides colleges with additional funding to support students with a scholarship of up to $5,000 per student.